Hey, Jiff.
Nice, mate. So again, now what's happening here?
Well, last week we did bass drum variations.
Now we're on the snare.
You got it,
I can
right?
see that.
And just like with the bass drum variations, where we were focusing on just playing on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and the subsequent and, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We were trying out different places for the bass drum. Same thing with the snare drum. So we're just dealing with the quavers or coffee rhythms at the moment. Now, with this one, it's a little bit more tricky to just keep things steady with your kick drum, but we're going to just try it for now, okay? So just like we did with the snare drum, where we went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The first thing we got to do is get used to this pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
So the bass drum is staying on the count of the 1, staying on the count of the 3.
Correct.
So the only thing again we're changing is the usual 2 and the 4 and the snare. We're now going to have snare drum variations.
You got it,
Okay.
right? And this sounds a bigger difference to me than when we move the kick drum, because when we keep the snare drum the same, that kind of gives us that steady pulse, whatever we do with the kick drum.
Yeah.
With the snare drum variations, that really changes the dynamic of a groove, I think.
Yes.
I'll give you some examples. I'm going to keep the kick on 1 though, okay?
Okay, cool.
So, for example, we could do something like this.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So the snare drum is on the 1, 2, 3, and the 4.
That's right.
Or we could do something like this. One more example.
Very clever.
So it gives us a different feel. We're
Love
keeping
it.
the kick and the hi-hat the same, moving the snare drum, and just like with all of the other exercises we've talked about, the first phase is just getting used to some specific variations.
Okay.
And then once you're really happy with it and you've built up your interdependence, you can then start to improvise the snare drum patterns, just like I was doing at the start of the video.
And then eventually, when you're really confident with the snare, you can then go back to the bass drums on the other variations.
Yeah.
Join both together. Because your right hand, as we call our engine, is just doing every
Exactly.
single coffee.
Exactly.
Without fail.
So we're changing the kick drum and the snare drum eventually. But we'll leave that for this week. Maybe that's something we could cover another time.
I think we'll do that next
Okay,
lesson.
but for now, Jiff, have a go. Keep the kick drum on 1 and 3. Move that snare drum around, but keep the hi-hat the same as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Kick drum 1 and 3. Jiff, behave. Kick drum 1 and 3. Kick drum 1 and 3.